Israel Adesanya is a Nigerian-born mixed martial artist. He currently holds the belt as a UFC middleweight champion, a controversial fighter no doubt making headlines on a number of different occasions. The tomfoolery and escapades have not gone over well with some of the other competitors, as well as many fans of the sport. Adesanya was born on July 22, 1989. He was the eldest of 5 children, and at a young age, he moved to New Zealand. As many fighters will say, he attributes his desire to fight to the bullying he received at school. The decision to start fighting turned out to be a lucrative one. He is currently pound for pound the 5th-ranked fighter in the world, behind Jon Jones, who holds down the top spot. The last stylebender started training in kickboxing when he was 18 years old. His amateur record was an astonishing 32-0, a squeaky clean, undefeated run before he finally turned pro. We certainly see nothing from his early childhood that would suggest he has pissed anyone off. Most fans love a good, young, up-and-coming winner like Adesanya has proven to be. So what was it? What did the stylebender do to make everyone so mad at him? Let's take a dive into Izzy's career to pinpoint where things started to go awry. By the age of 21, Israel was living in New Zealand and training in mixed martial arts. It was in 2012 that Adesanya made his pro debut. The opposition in this one was James Griffiths, and the event was SFC 9. Izzy caught him high with a powerful knee strike, followed by a ruthless onslaught of punches to the dome. The ref jumped in and declared a TKO before the first round was over. A brilliant start to his professional career. His next victim was John Vake, a fellow New Zealander who didn't stand much of a chance in this fight. Things started off a little sluggish. Both guys were throwing wild kicks and haymakers, but nothing hit the target. The action ramped up as the first round progressed, and just before the closing bell in the first round, the ref had to stop the fight and declare a TKO. John was bruised and battered, no longer able to fight back. Adesanya displayed no signs of extracurricular activities. He appeared very grateful to his opponent after the fight. Certainly nothing from his first 2 fights would insinuate that he pissed anyone off. Let's dive deeper into his journey. After his first 2 professional fights, he took 2 years off. Was the layoff the reason for all the enemies? It doesn't seem very likely. After his hiatus, he made a resounding return to the arena in August 2015. He was battling Kenan the Assassin Song. How do you think this one ended? Yes, it was another TKO. All of Izzy's victories have come via knockout or technical knockout. His early success in his professional fighting career was abundantly clear. Adesanya rattled off 11 straight wins. Then, in December of 2017, it was announced that Adesanya had signed a new deal to join the UFC. Then, in February 2018, he was lined up to fight against Rob Wilkinson at UFC 221. It was a highly anticipated debut. Keeping with the knockout theme established before joining the UFC, Adesanya delivered another TKO from a combination of punches and knee strikes. It was a bloodbath, but it was all Rob's blood. Is it possible we're beginning to establish the reason for all the hatred? Is it simply due to him knocking out every opponent put in front of him? That seems a bit far-fetched. Typically, crowds love a stunning knockout. Fans embrace that kind of noise. Let's continue to search for a reason. Next up was Marvin Vettori. This was the first pro fight in which Adesanya failed to knock out his opponent, but Israel still ended up with a split decision win. After another handful of victories over guys like the legendary Anderson the Spider Silva and Derek the One Brunson, the wins were really starting to mount for Adesanya. However, much of the taunting and flaunting started to rub some people the wrong way. At one point in his fight, Izzy even flipped his middle finger at Brunson for tugging on his shorts. It was evident at this point in his career that the Nigerian New Zealander was an unstoppable force. The only thing that could stand in his way of a championship was himself. As we continue to search, Israel was prepping to tango with Kevin Gastelum on April 13, 2019. This was such an epic matchup. The two titans went the distance in this grisly brawl. Both sides dished out some severe punishment. In the end, Israel remained undefeated thanks to the controversial decision. This win was a precursor to UFC 243. On October 6, 2019, Adesanya was taking on Robert Whittaker for the right to be crowned the undisputed UFC middleweight champion. Izzy was able to get another knockout victory and take home the belt. This is where things start to take a noticeable turn. It's possible his success was starting to go to his head a bit. Adesanya was now ready to take on Yoel Romero. However, before the fight, Israel made some incredibly insensitive comments. To set the stage, many people viewed Romero as a man built of steel. Basically, he was incredibly strong. So, Israel said he would make his opponent crumble like the World Trade Centers at the pre-fight press conference, since they were also made of steel. Just an awful analogy. Adesanya is not an American. He didn't live in America during the September 11 attack on the World Trade Centers. He may not have understood the weight of his words and the gravity of it all. He should have known better than to compare those attacks to anything that goes on inside the fighting ring. Israel figured it out and was quick to apologize the next day. However, the damage was already done. He made an extremely careless mistake in a public forum. If that wasn't bad enough, the fight between Yoel and Israel was extremely boring. Neither competitor was engaging, and the fans let them know. The boo birds were raining down on the octagon. There was more dancing around in this fight than we typically see in a nightclub. That brings us right into his next opponent, Paulo Costa. Costa claimed he was going to really kill Israel for his inconsiderate comments. Costa called his analogy disgusting, and you know, he's totally right. On September 26, 2020, Adesanya was ready to duel with the Brazilian powerhouse. As many of his fights have gone, Izzy was able to get a TKO in the second round. The problem here was right at the conclusion of the fight, Adesanya took the opportunity and imitated a sexual act performed on his prone opponent. Then he went over to his opponent's coach and made more revolting comments to him. Again, this did not sit well with many people on the fighting circuit. The worst part, he was completely unapologetic about the situation. He even tried to blame the public outcry on an aversion to homosexuality. There is no debating. Adesanya wins his fight every time he enters the ring. He also seems to be losing more fans every time he opens his mouth. On March 6, 2021, Izzy finally lost his first pro fight. It was for Polish fighter Jan Blachowicz. Israel had moved up in the weight class and it showed. He was outmuscled in the ground and pound game. On March 25, 2021, Adesanya came under fire again. He got into a war of words with Kevin Holland on his Instagram page. Holland claimed Izzy was a steroid user. In response, he told Kevin Holland he was going to rape him. Just a complete lack of awareness. Once again, Adesanya finds himself apologizing to the world for the inappropriate comments. He said he is continuing to grow, but his patience is wearing thin from the public's perspective. People can only listen to so much disrespect before they start to turn. Even a tremendously gifted middleweight champion like Adesanya can fall out of favor with his own fans. We hope Izzy has truly learned from these experiences and grown as a man. Dude is ridiculously talented, and we'd hate for his legacy to be tarnished because of his foul mouth.